I say something crazy? This is Disney Drew. Can I say something even crazier? Today I'm talking about 6 things that maybe you didn't know about Disney's Frozen Ever After ride. I know, it's crazy. Let the storm rage on while we take a look at some Disney fan-favorite secrets about this popular water ride. But before we get into the list, let's take a moment to get to know the Frozen Ever After attraction a little better. As of the published date of this video, there's only one Frozen Ever After ride in the whole world, and it's at the Norway Pavilion in Epcot's World Showcase. But that's not going to be the case for much longer because Disney's confirmed they're building clones of the ride at Hong Kong Disneyland, which will be in Fantasyland, and Walt Disney Studios in Paris. Originally, Frozen Ever After was an entirely different ride. The Norway Pavilion did not open as part of Epcot's grand opening in 1982. It was built afterward. It actually opened 6 years later in the summer of 1988. And at the same time that the Norway Pavilion opened, a new ride opened inside the pavilion. It was originally called Sea Venture, but the ride was eventually renamed Maelstrom before it even opened. And it was a water-based riverboat ride through Norwegian industry, culture, and folklore. It was a quirky attraction that, after 25 years of operation, gained a small but really loyal cult following. So when Disney announced that Maelstrom was closing, a lot of fans were devastated. Frozen Ever After opened in the summer of 2016, and onlookers around the world were shocked by the high wait times during the ride's opening days and weeks. It continues to be one of Epcot's most popular attractions. Okay, now that we know a little bit more about the history of Frozen Ever After and what's in store for the future of this popular ride, let's get to the list. Beware the frozen heart. Every actor from the original film returned to record new speaking and singing parts for the ride. While the ride Frozen Ever After pretty closely mirrors the movie Frozen and its follow-up short Frozen Fever, there are some subtle variations in the dialogue and lyrics. Even Frozen's original songwriters, Kristen Anderson Lopez and her husband Robert Lopez, returned to write new lyrics for the ride. A new generation of audio animatronics. Frozen Ever After was the first Disney attraction to use all-electric audio animatronics. Previous generations of audio animatronics, dating all the way back to the original designs from the late 40s and early 50s, were powered by hydraulics or pneumatics. This method of animation can be jerky at the beginning and end of movements, which gives a lot of early animatronics that stuttering, robotic look. Using electric motors allows for smoother and more lifelike movements that speed up and slow down in a more natural looking way. And more control over the movement of the characters was important because ride designers and animators worked together. The ride makes you feel like you've been transported to the fantastic world of Arendelle and dropped right in the middle of Frozen, a movie that we all know really well. According to Wyatt Winter, an Imagineer and the executive producer of Frozen Ever After, this illusion of feeling like you're inside the movie is so effective because the ride designers worked directly with the same animation team that created the original Frozen film. They wanted to be sure that each character moved exactly right so that they were completely believable. Why such long wait times? Well, the obvious answer is because Frozen Ever After is a really popular ride. It features characters and songs from a popular Disney movie, so lots of people want to ride it. And that's true, of course, but there's a deeper explanation too. Frozen Ever After has a relatively low hourly ride capacity. One estimate is roughly 900 people per hour. To put that in perspective, if you compare it to a ride like the Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean, which both can accommodate about 3,200 guests per hour, that's about 3 times what the Frozen ride can handle. And this low ride capacity wasn't a big deal for Maelstrom back when it was just a little ride in a remote corner of World Showcase. It barely ever had a line, but now that it's a hit attraction, guests should expect extra long wait times. Tips for avoiding long lines. Well, the best way is to book Frozen Ever After as early as possible using one of your available Fast Pass Pluses. But maybe you didn't do that for whatever reason, and you still want to ride. So you could book a character dining breakfast at a Kirsch's Royal Banquet. This restaurant's inside the Norway Pavilion, so it gets you in the park before it even opens, and you're already there. So once you finish breakfast, you can just walk right outside and be one of the first guests in line for the ride. But if you can't get a reservation there, or you don't want to spend the money, you can be at the entrance of Epcot when the park opens in the morning. Disney Parks fans call this time of day rope drop. For guests hoping to secure a good spot in the Frozen Ever After line, the International Gateway entrance is probably your best bet because it's less crowded and it's closer to the Norway Pavilion. Fans sometimes call this the back entrance to Epcot. You can take a rideshare car to Disney's Beach Club Resort and you can walk directly to the International Gateway entrance from there. You can also ride the ride right before the park closes. As long as you're in line for an attraction before the official park closing time, you should be able to get on the ride. Wait times can often be much lower than what the official Disney app reports toward the end of the day. Lines for most attractions, including this one, get a lot shorter near closing time. And since Epcot's nighttime fireworks show Illumination starts right at park closing, most guests at this time are picking out a spot for the show instead of getting in line for rides. A visit from Wandering Oaken. There's a special treat for guests who enter the ride through the standby line. As you're passing through Arendelle and come to Oaken's shop, pay attention to the window and the door behind the desk. Imagineer Wyatt Winter said, Wandering Oaken kind of started his whole business and franchise, and there's stores everywhere. When you enter, you see he's in the sauna and hear him in the sauna, and every once in a while he wipes the steam off a window and you get to see a media effect that shows him inside there. So that's 6 things that maybe you didn't know about Disney's Frozen Ever After ride. Did I get anything wrong? Did I leave anything out? My favorite part of the ride is the very beginning with Olaf. I think that audio animatronic is just incredible. Do you have a favorite part of the ride? Leave a comment below and let me know. Hey, this is Disney Drew. Thank you so much for watching this video about Frozen Ever After at Epcot. Originally, I wasn't going to do this ride, but I was talking to my son Walter and I said, hey, what should I do next? And he said, do the Frozen ride. And I was like, okay. Yeah, why not? And it ended up being quite a bit more interesting than I expected it to be. Originally, it was named Sea Venture, and then they renamed it Maelstrom, and then eventually they changed the ride entirely to become what it is now, Frozen Ever After. So I had a lot of fun on this one. I love making these videos. I want to keep making them. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to help me keep making these videos, go to my Patreon page and pledge even just $1. Makes a big difference. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you again next time.